That's fair.
Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to this afternoon's Facebook Live. This is a question and answer session that we're running for you. So if you've got any questions at all about preparing for university, what you might need to do between now and your start date, or what your first week at university is going to be like, we're here to answer those questions today. So whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, if you just pop any questions you might have for myself or for my panel here into the comments section, we'll do our best to answer your questions this afternoon. Okay, I mentioned my panel. I'm going to ask them all to introduce themselves. So Sophie, if we could start with you.
Hello, my name's Sophie, and I've just finished my 3 years studying here, early and primary education studies. I also lived at Athena Hall, so if you have any questions about that, I can answer those.
Thank you very much. Meg and Alex.
I'll go. So I'm Alex. I'm the President of Education at the Students' Union. So any questions about the Students' Union and things that are coming up in Freshers Week, well, direct them at us, but over to Meg.
I'm Meg, and I'm the President of Activities and Wellbeing at the Students' Union.
Thank you very much, guys. And Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm one of the temporary admission advisors here at the University of Suffolk, and I'm also an English literature and creative writing student. So if you've got any questions, then yeah.
Thank you very much. So as you can see, we've got a panel of experts with us today. My name's Owen. I work in the outreach team. So if there happen to be, I'm sure there's not going to be any questions that they can't answer, but if anything does come up, I might be able to help from a university standpoint. But I think most of you today will be people who've already applied and are probably coming here for September. So Sophie and Laura actually stayed on campus here. They've stayed in the halls of residence here at the University of Suffolk. So they'll be very happy to talk about what it's like living in halls, what you can do to get yourself ready for that experience of living in halls. And obviously, Meg and Alex from the Student Union, I'm sure will be very happy to talk about what the Student Union does, all the clubs and societies that they run. They mentioned Freshers Week already. I'm sure we'll touch on Freshers Week quite a lot this afternoon. So please, any questions that you might have, please just pop them in the comments section there. Just a quick reminder that you can stay in touch with us via social media. The University of Suffolk is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. So I'm old, I don't remember all of these things, but I'm sure that links will all come up in the comments section there, and we'll have a look at those a little bit later on. So before we get to any questions, I think the first thing that people might want to ask is for people who are actually coming to stay on campus with us to move into halls at university. They will be panicking a little bit about what they're going to bring, how much to bring. You know, should I be filling up the entire car to bring and get into my room? Could we get a little bit of advice, maybe from Laura and Sophie, about what the essentials are, what you definitely need to bring with you to university? If we start with you, Laura.
Yeah, so I would say I probably packed way too much to bring for my first year. There's so many things that you think you're going to need and you just really don't. Really, I brought a kettle for my first year. I was going to have a little tea making station in my room. You never need it. There's always a kettle in the kitchen. Extension leads, obviously all your bedding, just the things that you think you'll want to make your room feel as comfortable as possible. A bit like a home from home, really.
Very good. What about you, Sophie? What could you not live without at university?
I think definitely bedding, toiletries, towels, stationery for your lectures. I think they're the main ones that you need, definitely. Oh, food, pots and pans.
Okay, well, that's an interesting one, pots and pans, because that's something we always tell students to bring. So typically you would be sharing a kitchen with, I'd say, 4 or 5 other people. I mean, what was your experience of that? Did everybody bring pots and pans? Did you end up with 5 frying pans, 20 saucepans? How did that work out?
So for us, we all brought our own pots and pans, so our own saucepans, frying pans, that kind of thing. But it's like you don't need like 5 kettles. So just one person would bring a kettle, one person would bring a broom, one person bring a dustpan and brush. Like you don't need 5 of those kind of things. but we'd like to, like, we all cooked kind of separately but together at the same time, so we'd need to use like more than one saucepan or more than one frying pan at a time.
Okay, that's interesting. Was that the same with you, Laura?
Yeah, I would say it's really similar. Everyone generally bought like their own pots and pans and that kind of thing, but obviously, like Sophie was saying, you don't need one of like or 5 of everything. So really, if sometimes I bought kind of the essentials, and then if there was extra things that we needed, like one of us sort of from each room in each flat would probably go out and get one of those things.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I mean, for me, it sounds kind of strange. How would you know if other people are going to bring things? Is there any way of getting in touch with the people you're going to be living with, or any way of knowing that beforehand? Sophie, is there anything people can do?
Yeah, so there's a Facebook group chat called the University of Suffolk's New Starters page. So you can go on that and find your flatmates through that. You just put like, I'm in like D2, and then someone else will comment like, so am I, and then you can like make a little group chat from that, and start discussing like who will bring the toaster, who will bring the kettle, etc. If not, maybe if you haven't found your flatmates, just don't turn up. Just don't take those kind of items and just see what's already there. If not, there's like a Wilkinson's like just around the corner. Like you can just go there if you do need one on your first day. But yeah, I would just suggest not bringing them unless you do know your flatmates.
Very good. So maybe you could start with just an opening line. I've got a kettle. Who wants to live with me?
Yeah.
Go from there. Okay. We've had a few questions come in. So just very quickly, have a look at these. So learn more. I can see that you've applied for the data science and AI master's degree. If you haven't had a response from admissions yet, maybe just give them a call. You can call the clearing hotline. That's 01473 338 352, and someone will have a look at what's going on with your application. That's probably the easiest thing to do. And Sally has asked about support for autistic students. Now, I know that student services do work with autistic students, and they can provide individual support. I was just wondering if there's anything that the student union might be able to offer in terms of autistic support. Alex or Meg, I'm sorry to throw you a bit of a curveball there, but is that something that the student union deals with?
So we're always, our doors are always open for any general query at all, and we will help to point you in the right direction. We will also be, hopefully, in our upcoming by-elections, have a student with disabilities officer being appointed, so they will be worth talking to once they're in post as well. Can you think of any other scenarios?
No, I think we'll just be able to signpost any people that need that additional support. We've got the links.
We'll probably say this a lot through this next hour or so, but if we can't answer a question, we know some people in the team who definitely can. So yeah. So always feel free to come and talk to us.
That's brilliant. I know, I mean, Sally, if it's for starting this September, one thing I would definitely advise is getting in touch with the disability and wellbeing team in the student services. You can contact them before you start. You can start interacting and start talking, and they can start putting things in place before you begin in September. So they do work very closely with a number of autistic students here. And everything is set up. There's actually there's a link on their website for the support that they offer with autistic students. So do check that out, but definitely feel free to contact them before you start studying here. That's something that they'll be very happy to talk to you about. We've also had a question again for Meg and Alex about Freshers Week. Where was that? Is the university planning any events for Freshers Week? So I'm sure you are. Can you let us know?
We are. Yeah, a big thing that we're trying to get out there this year is that we are planning and hoping for, unless something drastic happens in regards to COVID or something else, touch wood, somewhere. We are planning a full in-person Freshers Week. It's going to run for 9 days, from Saturday to the following Sunday. And yeah, there'll be plenty of events online. And on the first day, there'll even be an online quiz in case you're not quite here yet.
And how can people find out about the events for Freshers Week? Is there anywhere they could go?
Yeah, so the Students' Union has a Facebook page and an Instagram page that we can put in the comments. So everything will be updated on there. There's also the website, the Students' Union website, where everything will be on there too. And then me and Alex have our own accounts again, which will be promoting everything. So there's lots of channels.
Yeah, there's already been a couple posts. Sorry, there's already been a post just to announce the type of events that will already be happening. So yeah, definitely go and check us out then.
Could you just name check a couple of the events that might be going? A couple of highlights.
We've got them written up here. So we've got a range of events. We've got a whiteboard full of it all at the moment. That took me way too long. So we've got a bar crawl, as we always do, but we've also got things that are tailored to every type of student that comes to UOS. So we've got a big night in, freshers fair, archery, those things.
Escape rooms. Wellbeing walks.
A sustainability fair.
Yeah.
There's loads.
Family disco.
Family disco. It's a good one. The online quiz I've already mentioned.
Getting to know Ipswich.
Getting to know Ipswich. Day trip to Felixstowe with a bit of crazy golf included. I'll stop now. We'll just keep talking, but definitely, yeah, go and check us out.
So, I mean, that's particularly for people who aren't local. Then it sounds like a really good way to get to know the area, what the Student Union has to offer, as well as meet other people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. A big focus will be like getting to know your peers, the people you live with, getting to know us. We're really excited to get to see all the students, especially after the last year where everything was all online and I was just sat at a desk writing my dissertation. As Laura and Sophie, I'm sure, will know how that feels as well. But yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah.
Great. Now, obviously, Freshers Week is a big part of starting university. So, Laura and Sophie, I was going to ask you if you can remember. I'm sure you can remember. I wasn't implying anything by that. But what were your highlights maybe of Freshers Week? Did you go along to any of the events, Laura?
Yeah, I went along to the bar crawl. I remember most of it. Yeah, I think that was the year that we had the theme of glitter. That was the barcode of bar crawl. That was really, really good because obviously when you're new to the area, I'm local, but obviously some of my flatmates and some of the people I went with were new. But obviously we had sort of the student union advisors sort of coming along with us. So they were like sort of chaperoning everyone to and from each bar. So no one got left behind, which was really good.
And what about you, Sophie? Did you go along to the Freshers Week events?
Yeah, went to the bar crawl as well. That was really good. Can't remember what the theme was for my first one. And then went to like a ball pit party, I think, and a foam party, and the Freshers Fair as well. So you get to like learn about more kind of things within the actual university, which is really good as well. And you get lots of vouchers.
Yes. The free pizza was a big pull.
Yeah. I was about to mention that as someone who doesn't really go to the Freshers events, but I always go to the Freshers Fair. The free cakes and the free pizza always draws me in. So definitely worth going along to. And again, you get to find out a lot about the local businesses or the discounts that you can get as a student. So yeah, really good starting place, I think. You mentioned that, Laura, going on the bar crawl was a good place to sort of meet new people and find out about what's going on. There will be people out watching this who will be, worried about coming to university. And the thing most people worry about is I'm not going to know anyone. I'm not going to meet anyone. How do I make friends? What would you say, people who are coming, perhaps are moving away from home for the first time? Have you got any advice about, what it's going to be like when you actually get here and how you can meet people?
I think I would probably say what you've got to remember is everyone is pretty much going to be in the same position as yourself. Everyone's probably going to be a little bit nervous. They might not have spoken to anyone previously. And I think especially if you're sort of living in halls or even if you're not living in halls, just going along to the event and even just going up to speak to maybe just one or a couple of people, you can just get to know a few people. And then you might find that actually you stay friends for like most of the entirety of your course.
What would you say? So is it that easy when you turn up in halls, Sophie? Do you meet people straight away?
Yeah, I think so. I think I just stayed in the kitchen most of the time. So as people were moving in, they're moving in their kitchen stuff. I just was like, hey, and just made friends that way. I also just went and knocked on doors like that were opposite. Just hoped someone would answer, and then they did. So made friends like that. And then usually during the first week, a lot of people just have flat parties as well. That are just advertised on Facebook. So we just turned up to random flats and made friends that way too. So I think you just got to put yourself out there.
And I think from what I understand, it is very inclusive, isn't it? Especially when you first start. There's not kind of that cliquiness that perhaps you might have at sixth form or college. Yeah. It's a fresh start. Everyone's looking to make friends. Everyone wants to have a chat, even if you don't end up becoming best friends with someone. During the first week, you know, if you go and say hi to someone, it's very unlikely that they're going to turn their back and walk away from you. Everyone's really open and willing. That's the kind of the feeling I get. Is that true?
Yeah, I'd say 100%. Plus also because obviously we're a slightly smaller university and still growing, there is kind of that just tight-knit community feel. I think everyone's really friendly. I don't think you're going to get anyone just sort of go, oh, I don't want to talk to you, and just turn around and walk away.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Just before I come to Meg and Alex on that, learn more. I can see you're an international student who'd applied for the data science and AI. Again, if you can't get through to the admissions office, just drop the international department an email, which is international@uos.ac.uk, and they'll be able to have a look into your application for you and get back to you on that. So don't worry, someone will help you out if you've made an application there. So Meg and Alex, one thing I always tell students or prospective students is that apart from making friends in halls, the student union and the clubs and societies are the easiest way to meet people and the best way to make friends at university. Am I lying to people? Is that really true?
Yeah, that is really true. I mean, from personal experience, I got involved with my students' union straight away by joining the netball team. We've got lots of sports, social and competitive sports to offer, and then obviously all the societies. And if there isn't a society that takes your fancy, then you can start a society of anything that you fancy, really. So there's plenty of opportunities.
From my experience, in my first couple of weeks, I became a course rep for my course as well. And through being a course rep, I was going to councils and meeting other course reps as well. And I've met a lot of people that I'm still friends with through that route as well.
That's fantastic. So other than netball, what other clubs and societies do we have at the University of Suffolk? What are some of the things that people could get involved with?
Sports-wise, we have football, badminton, both competitive and social, and obviously netball both. Then we have the societies that we've got so far. We've got Wildlife Society,
Environmental Society as well. There's Game Society, Esports, which is a separate society in itself. There's loads, and there's also going to be a relaunch of a lot of the societies and sports due to the nature of the last year we had.
Yeah.
A lot of the things will be back and at Freshers Fair as well. So definitely make sure you come and meet people.
Fantastic. Well, another reason to come to the Freshers Fair to find out more about the clubs and societies there. Oh, that's excellent. A question that we had actually a couple of weeks ago on here was someone asking if they needed to go out and buy books for their course, and obviously to bring books, and they were a little worried because books, obviously academic books, can be very expensive, and they're worried about the cost. What would you say? Do you need to have your own books as a student at the university? Is it enough just to use the library? Are there online books available? Sophie, what did you have to go out and buy books for your course? What did you do?
So when you start, you get an essential reading list, and the library has to have every single book that is on the essential reading list. So you don't necessarily need to buy anything, and I wouldn't really suggest to buy anything until you do start. So if a lecturer is constantly referring to a book and you do think, oh, that one might be a good one to have my own copy of, go out and buy it. But yeah, I never bought a book. I just used the library, and most books are online now as ebooks, especially since the pandemic as well. Pretty much every book you need is online. So you can access them through that. Also, to get cheaper books, if you did want a book copy, the starters page where you can meet flatmates, you can also buy secondhand books on there. Lots of people, as they finish their third year, then post the books that they had bought, and you get them slightly cheaper.
So you didn't buy any books, so you've got none for sale. Meg, Alex, are you selling any books? Do you want to advertise anything while we're here?
Actually, you say that we will have a sustainability fair, and as part of that, we're hoping to get some ex-students books in. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, so we'll hopefully be selling some secondhand books there as part of that. But my response to the question is very similar to Sophie as well. I use a lot of the library resources, and the library team are also really helpful if you're struggling to find access to a book, or if you think a book would be important to you and potentially other students, they're happy to go out and find it.
Fantastic. So the advice is, don't go out and buy the books until at least you get to university.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that huge outlay. You're unlikely to need everything that's on the list. I think that's fair to say. Just touching on that, then, the library and learning services is another thing that we big up a lot on here. Has anyone had any experience with the library and learning services? Anyone been to the workshops that they run? Sophie, you're nodding along there. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so there's academic support advisors at the library, which I literally say to everyone, please go to, because they are so good. So I'd never done referencing before. And so after my first year, all my referencing was still completely wrong. I had no idea what I was doing. So I just went to them and was like, help. And yeah, since I went to them, it's always been fine. They gave me a really handy sheet. So every time I wrote an essay, I just had that next to me and copying it. They can also help if English is a second language, for punctuation and grammar. They can read certain paragraphs before you submit the essay, just to double check, maybe for critical writing, if you're answering the question, that kind of thing. And they can also help plan. So if you've got lots of essays due at the same time, you've maybe got 4 on the go, you've just been set another one, and you don't know where to start. I went to them and was just like, help, I don't know, I've got too much on my mind already. Like, can you help? It's just nice to have someone there to help you go through it.
Oh, that's great to hear that you've been taking advantage of that, because I know they do put themselves out there, don't they? And they really do try to help with all aspects of
They really were amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you can, before you start, you can actually go onto their webpage. So Library and Learning Services and the University of Suffolk have their own webpage on it. I think they've got a few videos of the workshops that they run to find out a little bit about referencing, perhaps taking notes in lectures before you even start. But definitely something you can take advantage of when you first start at university. Maybe when you get that first assignment, and if you're not sure what you're doing, they're definitely the people to go and see. So just sticking with the academic theme there, when you get to university, I guess in your first week or your first couple of weeks, you'll be almost like on an induction week, I guess. Is that right? When you first get here? So Laura, could you give us, if you can remember, your induction week? What would students be getting involved when they first come here, when they first get a taste of the subject that they're going to be studying?
Yeah, so obviously for my induction week, that was a couple of years ago now. So that was when everything was still in person. I think this year induction week is going to be mostly in person and then perhaps a little bit of online, some blended learning. So with our induction, we went to the Regent Theatre, which is one of the local theatres, and we had sort of like a big kind of like assembly where we sort of were introduced to the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor of the university. And then we had specific course meetings where we went along to meet our course lecturers. We were given our course handbooks. There was Freshers' Fair. There was the Societies Fair. So yeah, it was just basically kind of like an introduction to life at University of Suffolk that week.
Okay. And did you go straight into your lectures? Was it in first day, bang, this is what we're doing?
No, it wasn't first day lectures. Obviously, you had kind of like a week to sort of just settle in, get used to where your new sort of living space and all that kind of thing. And then the actual first week of teaching, it was very gentle. The lecturers were kind of just like getting to know you, and they were like, so we're going to set out what we're going to be doing this year. It was no kind of, right, this is going to be your first essay, and then sort of going straight off from there. Okay,
well, that's good to see. You sort of eased in very gently, not thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was some of you out there will remember the session we did maybe a month ago with the heads of schools here, and I remember they were giving their advice on what you could do over the summer to get yourself ready for your course. And I think the best piece of advice was from Susan in arts, who said, make sure you have a holiday. Don't worry about getting up. You don't need to do any prep work. You don't need to be prepared. As Laura said, when you get to university, when you start your course, you will be introduced to it slowly. You will have that settling in period. You're not expected to come in and to have read all these books and journals straight away and be discussing that from day one. So it is a gradual process. And obviously, it doesn't last forever. It's only the first couple of weeks, but you are sort of introduced to the subject sort of quite slowly before you get down to the difficult stuff. Do remember, anyone who's out there, if you do have any questions that you would like to ask us, just pop them in the comments section there in the chat on YouTube or Facebook. They will come straight through to us. We're going to be here for a little while longer, so any questions that you do ask, we'll do our very best to answer. Now, we've spoken a little bit about preparing to come here, and perhaps a little bit about the academic side. What about the practicalities then, when you arrive at university? So I guess for all of you really, what do you need to do? Do you need to go out and buy a TV license? Do you need to register with a dentist? What do you have to do apart from just bringing your stuff and going to lectures? Sophie, what was on your? You're a very organised person. What was on your list when you got here?
Gosh, I can't remember. Well, I never got a TV license in the end because I just watched stuff. No, I didn't watch illegally. I just watched like Netflix and stuff instead of actually like watching anything live. 'Cause I think you only need a TV license if you want to watch live shows. And I think you can watch YouTube and stuff still. I'm not too sure. But yeah, no, I didn't go out and get a TV license. And then I don't live too far away from home, so I didn't transfer doctors and dentists. But if you are moving from quite far away, you do need to sign up to the new local doctors, dentists, that kind of thing. But yeah, I can't remember.
Megan, Alex, is that something that the Students' Union would have information about GPs and dentists and things? Am I looking in the right direction here?
Potentially, we'd definitely be able to. Well, we'd be happy to help. I'm not sure if we have anything specifically to go out as such, but like I've said before, we have a team who definitely would know the answer to that question. If you are wondering where to go for your doctors and so whatever, definitely come to us and we'll be able to help you out.
Perfect. What about you, Laura? Was there anything that sort of came up that was a bit unexpected when you started uni? Something you had to do that maybe you weren't planning on?
Again, I'm kind of local, but I'm probably about half an hour away from uni, normally back home. So I did change doctor surgeries, and that was kind of during the pandemic. And I think most doctors at the moment are still doing it. Basically, you can just register online. You just fill in all the details that you have normally. And obviously, you can register for a new dentist. You can sort of register all your new NHS services down in Suffolk. And they're really quick. I think they got back to me within like 2 or 3 days, and I was fully registered at GPs. Oh,
that's brilliant. That sounds pretty easy. We've had a question then about clubs and societies, about volleyball. Is there anywhere, have we got a volleyball team, anywhere where we can play volleyball, Megan, Alex?
So currently we're actually recruiting for a volleyball coach. So we will be having a team. So that's in the pipeline. That's good.
Tom, can you let us know if you're a coach? I mean, maybe you've got a job here waiting. You've got a whole team waiting for you here. Okay, that's good. So hopefully something will be this term. We'll have something with volleyball. That's excellent. Natasha has asked about on-campus accommodation. So we've been talking about Athena Hall quite a lot today. We haven't really explained what it is. Athena Hall, the on-campus accommodation at the University of Suffolk. Sophie, tell us a bit about Athena Hall.
So Athena Hall is the closest accommodation to the university, and I think there's about 500 students live there. and the room sizes, so you get the same thing in every room. You get an ensuite, you get wardrobe, a desk, a chair, and a 3/4 size bed. And then each room is slightly different because it comes in bronze, silver, and gold, and that all just depends on floor space. So you still get your ensuite, you still get your double bed. But yeah, so bronze is slightly the smallest, then it goes silver, which is a little bit larger, and then gold, which is quite a lot bigger. And that obviously just goes up with price as well. And then you share with 3, 4, and 5 other people. So obviously you can choose what size flat you want to be in. And you can also choose if you want like an all girls flat as well, or an all guys flat, or mixed. And you can be living with all first years, second years, third years, or it can be a mix of years as well. And then in your kitchen, you have like a little sofa area, a little dining area as well, so you can all have meals together or watch TV together. Yeah, it's really nice.
So, Laura, that's the same halls that you stayed in, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So first year I was in Athena. It was just the right option for me because obviously we knew that we had security there pretty much 24/7. They had the front desk and they always had staff on hand. Like if you had queries and if like anything needed like a repair or it was just a good experience to have kind of that extra support, especially in that first year where you're a little bit unsure of everything.
So for people who don't know, I mean, what sort of distances are we talking about? So how far away is the accommodation from, say, the lecture theatres, from, some of the, the student union bar, that type of thing?
I mean, I would say you're never really, I think Athena is probably about a 5-minute walk from campus. And then the whole campus, I think, is spread across. It's so close. It's probably about a 5-minute walk between most buildings. So you're never far away from where you need to be for lectures. So with Athena, you could say if you got up late, if you'd perhaps not been organised, you weren't that far away.
Very good, very good. So for a 9 o'clock lecture, if you set the alarm for 8:45, 8:45.
Give yourself time to get breakfast, coffee, and then
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so an update from Tom. Unfortunately, he's not going to be the next volleyball coach. He's a big.
Don't worry, Tom. We're beginners as well, and I'm probably going to turn up to some of them events as well. I want to play some volleyball, so I'm really hoping for this coach to come soon as well. I'm looking forward to it.
We've got another one for the team, at least. We've got another one for the team. Tracy has asked, is there ample parking for those that are driving each day? So yes, Tracy, I commute in each day. My wife won't let me live in student accommodation, unfortunately. So yes, there's plenty of parking. We've got 2 car parks here at the University of Suffolk. There's always a place to get a spot. And as Laura said, those car parks, same as the accommodation, never more than 5-minute walk away from potentially where you need to go on campus. So a culinary question: what type or flavour of Maggi noodles do you eat? Was that your, Laura? Was that your diet in halls? Were you a super noodles?
No, I tried to have a bit of a more varied diet. Tried to make sure I ate a few vegetables, but I know I did have a flatmate who swore by pot noodles. The kettle was very much constantly on.
Oh God, I hope they opened the windows afterwards. I hope. Okay, what about you, Sophie? Were you super noodling? No, you a proper cook?
Really, I still just had pasta and then freezer stuff, and then just shoved the freezer stuff in the oven. Don't think it's proper cooking.
Okay. What about you, Meg and Alex? Has university taught? Were you cooks before you came to university? Has university taught you anything?
I wasn't so much a cook. I didn't cook a lot when I was at home. Mainly because I didn't really want to, but when you come to uni, you kind of get dropped in it, and you have to. You kind of decide how much you want to spend, how well you want to eat. I was always quite conscious. I became vegetarian a year ago. Not to push my vegetarianism on anyone, but yeah. So I became a vegetarian. So I was always quite conscious of making sure that I ate vegetables and things. So I was basically making a lasagna every day with loads of veg in it. Lasagnas did me well. Lots of veg in it. What about you?
I feel like pasta is always a good shout.
Pasta's
You
easy.
can do you can have so many different things with pasta,
Although
and it's easy.
I have witnessed someone burn pasta before, which was an interesting one. Don't know how you do it when you're boiling, but okay.
Spray on the bottom of the pan.
Or water.
Yeah, that must be a first, burning pasta. There you go. Well, I think you did touch on quite a good point there as well, Alex. If you learn to cook, you are going to save a fortune as a student, aren't you? I think when I was a student a long time ago, it was one of the first things I learned is how much cheaper it is to cook than to go out to eat. So I would say, what are we on now? The 16th of August. So maybe if you're planning to come to uni in about a month's time, if you were going to do anything between now and 1 month, it would be learn to cook at least something. Like Meg said, pasta's easy. Although Alex's friend did manage to burn it once, pasta is relatively easy. I'm sure you can get someone to teach you a couple of recipes in that time. But yeah, learn to cook. You will save a lot of money. Laura, how did you get on with budgeting when you first came to university? Were you good with money?
I mean, I think that the first time you get your student loan, you might spend a little bit and then you realise, this has got to last me about 3 months. So I tried to sort of work out all the essential things I had to spend on and then the little extras that I wanted to do. So I tried to, split it up that way.
And what about you, Sophie? Did budgeting come as a bit of a shock when you first got here?
Kind of. I hadn't realised how expensive food is because I've never actually had to buy food before, so it was quite of a shock. And so nearby is Sainsbury's and Tesco's, which is obviously a little bit more expensive. So realised I needed to travel a bit further. I feel Aldi and Asda was a better idea. It was a lot cheaper.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So I think, again, something that perhaps you could do before coming to university, especially if you know what your student loan is, if you've got that maintenance loan figure and you know how much you're paying for accommodation, is you can probably work out what your weekly budget is going to be. And so, like Sophie said, it might be worth starting to think about how much potentially you will be spending on food. If you haven't thought about it before, you might not realize, the difference between, I don't know, buying a kilo of vegetables and buying a kilo of meat. There's it can be a lot cheaper if you go vegetarian like Alex. But getting that budgeting in mind early before you get to university can help out. Again, I know student services do help out people who are having problems with money and budgeting problems, particularly at the start of term, people who are not quite sure about how to make a budgeting plan or are potentially spending a lot more than they should be in the first few weeks and get worried. To the student union, do you have any information about student finance and budgeting for students when they arrive?
Once again, a big thing that we would say is we're always here happy to help with any queries like that and point you in the right direction. So I guess if you're going to take something away from the SU today, other than our freshers events and freshers fair and things like that, if you have anything that you're not sure where to go, come to us and we'll definitely point you in the right direction.
That's brilliant. I seem to remember at the freshers fair there was someone last time talking about budgeting apps and different ways to get your weekly budget done. So yeah, again, I think.
We'll go and double check if they've signed up to a freshers stall. But I think the advice that Owen has given is really good. Make sure you kind of know what you've got left for the week.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thanks a lot. So a few more random questions that we always get about accommodation. Sophie, I'll come to you with this. Pets. Can you bring your pet along to university? Is that a hard no? No way you can sneak it in?
But they'll find it. You do get room inspections every now and then. So, yeah, they will find it.
Okay, so definitely no pets. What about guests? Can you have guests in halls of residence, Laura?
As far as I remember, I think you are sometimes allowed to have a guest perhaps overnight, but it's generally encouraged that they don't stay for more than sort of 1 or 2 nights in a row. because obviously, essentially, it's a student accommodation, so generally guests aren't encouraged. But yeah, I think 1 or 2 nights, I think we were allowed.
Yeah, I think that's right, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, as long as you're signed in with security and
yeah, as long as because obviously for fire safety and things like that, they have to know who's in the building. So obviously, when the fire alarm goes off, you obviously just have to make sure anyone you have got staying with you also leaves the building.
Absolutely. Alex, I won't embarrass you with the comment that's come in, but I was going to ask if you and Meg could talk us through the new social space. Well, it's not so new now, but it will be, I guess, for people who are coming along in September. That wonderful space that you guys have got over there in the library building.
Yeah, so I mean, it is still quite new to us. I think it was officially opened in 2019, and then obviously we went into lockdown about 6 months later. So we're still enjoying it as a new thing, even though it's 2 years old now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got an awesome social space over here with shop SU included. It's a good place to study, catch up with your friends. Some societies might be holding some events there. You can get coffee, crisps, meal deal, whatever you like.
Yeah, we'll be holding some of our freshers events in there, so it's a great space. So
Yeah, I've used the table tennis and the pool tables in there over the years. It's that's a really nice touch, isn't it? Especially in the daytime. It's a great place for hanging out, sort of a relaxed space for doing work as well, isn't it? You know, especially if you're working in.
We recently found out that I'm much better than Meg at pool. So yeah.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
Right. No comment.
So if anyone would like to challenge Alex to a pool game,
yeah,
my
office,
student union social space.
My office is just down the hallway from the social space as well. So challenge me anytime. I'll win.
Yeah.
There you go. You've got a ready-made opponent anytime you need a game of pool in the students' union. That's good to know. That's good to know. So please, those of you out there watching on Facebook and YouTube, do keep your questions coming in. If there's anything you're worried about before starting university, anything that you want to kind of check or double check that you need to bring or you don't need to bring, just pop those in the comments. We've got our students here who can answer your questions. Please keep those questions coming in. Now I'm sure we'll be having a lot of students coming from abroad or from other parts of the UK who perhaps don't know Ipswich so well and don't know quite what Ipswich has to offer. Alex and Meg, are you both local? Are you both from East Anglia?
Yeah, I'm from Ipswich. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from Woodbridge, which is only about 20 minutes away. So yeah, we're both quite local, but don't be deterred by that. We know the area quite well, so if you do have any questions, definitely come and speak to us about them, because we can at least tell you where not to go. But also we have a get to know Ipswich event going on as well during Freshers, so that should be really helpful for people that aren't quite so local as we are.
Okay, so everyone here is local. Sophie, what would you say about Ipswich? What does Ipswich have to offer for a student who's coming from a bit further away?
I think it's a nice mix of being a town, and there's also, you can find like a bit of countryside as well. So there's quite a few nice parks nearby. So there's Holywells, however you say it, and there's Christchurch Park as well, which has got some really nice tennis courts and a mansion there with like different exhibitions and stuff on sometimes. Then there's Felixstowe, which is not too far away. I think like 10-15 minutes on the train. Which is a really nice beach. So I think even though you're in a town where you can do like a lot of town stuff, like, I don't know, like clubbing and shopping and all that kind of thing, there's also, it's very easy to get away to the countryside and to the coast.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Laura? Is Ipswich Sophie was sort of saying it was a nice mix there of both. What do you think? What are the big attractions of Ipswich for a student?
Yeah, I agree. I think Ipswich, it's been under a lot of development in the last few years. Like, we've recently had sort of the recent developments to the shopping centre. So we've got a new cinema, we've got a load of new restaurants, there's the amusements, there's bowling. There's been a lot of development in the town, and obviously Ed Sheeran's from nearly around here. There's an Ed Sheeran exhibition going on at the moment. Framlingham's not too far away, and I mean, if it's good enough for Ed Sheeran, it's good enough for everyone.
Well, absolutely. I mean, what better endorsement than that, I suppose. I think I'd probably just to say that the location of the university itself, the waterfront campus, is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
There are, I travel to a lot of universities around the country, and I mean, there really aren't as many that have the sort of view that we have from from the university there. So it's a beautiful spot. And as Sophie and Laura mentioned, that there is a town centre in Ipswich where we've got clubs and shops and bars, and it's only really about a 10-minute walk. So for our students who basically live at the marina where all the yachts come in and out, they've got that side of their life, but they've also got the town centre, and the beach is only 10 minutes up the road on the train. Did you say you're running a trip to Felixstowe, Meg and Alex, in Freshers Week?
Yeah, we are. We'll be doing that during our Freshers Week, so we'll be doing crazy golf, and so yeah, definitely come along.
There you go. It's a great chance to get over to the coast as well, and see what else we have to offer during Freshers Week. That's excellent. What about thinking about the waterfront itself? I mean, I wouldn't know, but there are lots of cafes and bars down there. Is that a good student hangout? Do students in the evening? Are there a lot of students hanging around by the waterfront, Sophie?
Yeah, so there's a really nice pub called Isaac's, which is very popular with students, and that's where we have our summer ball a few years ago. So that's really nice. And then there's also a place called Whiff Waff, which is like a bar. You can do darts there, table tennis, pool. So that's quite a nice place to hang out as well.
Very good. What, Laura, was that where you went out of an evening when you were down there?
Yeah, I was going to mention Isaac's. Isaac's is probably kind of the biggest draw along the waterfront for students-wise. But yeah, there's obviously just restaurant-wise. There's there's a bistro on the quay. There's the waterfront bistro. There's Pizza Express. You've got tons of places along the waterfront, so you don't even have to go that far from Athena if that's where people are moving into.
That's fantastic. That's good to know. Just a quick reminder: you can find out more about what's happening at the University of Suffolk through our social media. So let me get this right again. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. What have I missed? Twitter. Yes, we're on Twitter. We're definitely on Twitter. We have pictures on Twitter. Yes. You'll be able to find out and see. You'll also be able to see some wonderful pictures of the waterfront campus. I'm sure we'll be having some links to the Student Union on there as well. So you'll be able to find out what's going on with Freshers Week through our social media feeds. So definitely worth following us, especially in the next few weeks if you are coming along in September, to find out what's going on and get a bit of a feel for the place. We've had another question come in. How is Ipswich in terms of safety, i.e. travelling and walking at night? So Meg and Alex, what's safety like in Ipswich?
So one of the previous sabbatical officers actually had a campaign called Good Night Out campaign, where he tried to reach out to certain venues to go through certain training and to be more wary of people's safety and student safety around Ipswich, which I believe is continuing on. That's not on us at the moment, but I believe these venues are more aware of some of the safety concerns that have come about in more recent years. From my own personal experience, I'm not the best voice, but I've always felt safe. I live in Ipswich now, and the waterfront especially, I've always felt safe walking along there. It's all well lit. And what's your experience been?
Yeah, I would say the same. I've always felt safe walking along, and there's always lots of people around. And like you say, it's well lit, and I would say it's very safe. So
that's good to hear. I'll ask Sophie and Laura as well. Obviously, living in Athena, which is down on campus, have you found it safe there, Sophie?
So, like Laura mentioned earlier, there is security overnight. So if there has ever been an issue, you can just call them and they can come and deal with anything. Also, nightclub is walkable, and you just follow the fairy lights home. So like Meg and Alex said, it is very lit up. So yeah, you just follow the fairy lights. But I also would suggest that you always walk with someone at night time, like anywhere, which is so much safer.
Would you agree, Laura?
Yeah, I'd say obviously if you can take a friend with you just whenever you're going out, it always just makes you feel a little bit safer. Like, it's generally pretty safe anyway, but obviously just having someone else with you is going to make you feel more comfortable. And as Sophie was saying, and as we've mentioned earlier, there's security at Athena overnight, and they've got posters all along the walls in the corridors and on the doors with the number that you can call if you've ever got an issue. So they're easy to get hold of.
That's great to hear. I'm sure that will reassure a lot of people. But again, just my own 2 pence worth. I think Ipswich is relatively safe, safer than an awful lot of other places, and particularly where the university is located at the waterfront. There are busy restaurants and bars down there that go on to sort of the early hours, so there's always a lot of people around. The bars and restaurants there have their own security as well, so that it is very, very well patrolled, and I think I can't speak for all the students, but I do think most of us students do feel safe and looked after, particularly in that part of town. So thank you very much for the questions that have come in so far. We've got about 10 minutes left, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you do get in before the end of the session this evening. We've covered most of the topics that we thought we would today. So if there's anything else that you want to ask or anything else you want to find out about, now is definitely the time to get your question in, and we'll get you an answer. So what I was going to ask for all of you were maybe some sort of closing thoughts, things, your top tips from when you started university, things maybe you'd have done differently if you can go back and start university again, maybe things that you wouldn't have worried about so much before you came to university, knowing what you know now. So Sophie, what would you say to students who are going to be starting here in a month's time about thinking about coming to university and what to actually do when you get here?
I think definitely just put yourself out there with your flatmates and everything. Go to all the events, as many as you can, that the student union are running. Knock on people's doors in the accommodation. When you go to your induction week, when you're sat next to people, just go up to them and chat to them, ask them their name. Just all the little small talk goes a long way. I definitely wouldn't worry about making friends, because you really do. It is like one of the biggest worries, but everyone's in the same boat. That's all you've just got to remember.
Sorry, what about you, Laura?
Yeah, no, I'd say the same as Sophie. I think if you can, just try and be a little bit brave. I think obviously initially when you first get here, everyone's nervous, but you've got to remember everyone's in the same boat. Just be a little bit brave, put yourself out there and make the most of it, because 3 years goes a lot quicker than you think it will. I can think back fondly of my first and second year, but it feels like they went by in a flash. So yeah, just make the most of it.
Thank you very much. Meg and Alex, just before I come to you, Susan has asked a question. How will I know where I have to go on my first day, like where my class group is, etc.? So Susan, you will receive induction and enrollment information well ahead of your time before you come to university. That will have all of the information about where you need to be, where you need to go. You will also get your timetable before you start your induction week, which will have, the class, your classroom on there. And before you actually start your classes, during your induction week, you will have a tour of the university. We will show you where the classes are. We'll show you exactly where you need to go in advance of you starting your classes there. So there's nothing you need to worry about. All that information will be given to you ahead of time. And when you actually first get to university for your induction, you will be shown around by the people in your course to show you which classrooms you're going to be going to and where you need to go. So really nothing to worry about on that front. Okay, so Meg and Alex, sorry, Meg. Top tips. What would you say to students then who are coming to join us next month?
Similar to what's been said, really, but to get involved with as much as you can. I think personally, when I first decided to come to uni, I was classed as a mature student because I was over 21. And I thought I'd just come to uni and put my head down and just do my studies. It wasn't until I came to my induction and someone from the Students' Union proposed to me to come to netball and get involved with that sports team that I then really got involved with the Students' Union. And actually, looking back, it's the best thing I could have done, because not only have I grown academically, obviously the course has given me a great qualification and all of this, but actually when I look back at my university experience, it's the development that has come from being involved with the Students' Union, being involved with clubs and sports and societies, and growing my confidence. So I think it's about personal development as well. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I think I'd say similar to what everyone said, throw yourself out there, and you're going to make friends in the most ridiculous ways in some cases. Like you just throw yourself at everything, and you might end up meeting someone because you bumped into them in the hallway on your way to one of these events, and never mind actually at the event itself. So make sure you're out and about. Make sure, like Sophie said, you're in the kitchen. Make sure that you don't starve. Feeding yourself is good. Remember to budget. Remember everything we've said already.
Well, just on that point, the video will be available on Facebook, so you can always go back and rewatch again, so you don't forget anything, as Alex mentioned. This will stay up in case you did miss anything from earlier on. I think one thing I perhaps would add to that, we've spoken a lot today about living on campus and living in halls of residence. We know that we have a lot of students who commute, who don't actually come and live with us, but come in every day. And something I think I would probably mention is that making friends is not just something that happens in halls of residence and with people who live in the accommodation. It's very, very easy, particularly with your classmates, who you'll get to know, in your lectures and in your seminars in the first weeks. As Meg and Alex have already mentioned about all the clubs and societies and opportunities that the Student Union has, they're not just for 18-year-olds that have come straight out of school. We have lots of mature students who are involved in the Students' Union and clubs and societies. And in fact, I would say on a day-to-day basis, a lot of our mature students do actually tend to hang out together, between sort of 9 and 4 when they're on campus, because they don't go back to their accommodation. So you'll often find that it's easier to make friends with the people you're studying with, to hang out in the cafes. So yeah, very, very easy to make friends, even if you're not someone who's living on campus here. If that has sparked your interest and you aren't actually starting with us in September, but you think you would like to, we are still open for clearing. So it's not too late to make an application to the University of Suffolk to start a course this September. If you do want to make an application, have a look on the website, on the homepage of the UOS website. That's uos.ac.uk. We've got information about clearing 2021 and how you can make your application to study with us in September. The call centre, the clearing call centre, is also still open. So if you prefer to give us a ring, you can give us a call on 01473 338 352, where our team will be happy to talk about any courses that we run at the university, how you can make an application, and we can even do that over the phone with you. Okay. Thank you so much for all of the questions and comments that have come in tonight. It makes it a lot easier when we get questions to answer rather than having to do them ourselves. So thank you very much. I want to wish the best of luck to everyone who's coming along to start with us this September. Hopefully we'll see you around campus. And thank you very much to Sophie and Laura, our resident students here, for sharing your experiences. And thank you ever so much to Meg and Alex as well, for running us through what the Student Union has to offer for our students there. Okay, enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone, and we'll see you here in September. Bye-bye.
Bye.